job. Big hand for them. Sing along. Thank you. You all know the songs, you can all sing along. A big thanks to Dr. Joe Frager, Dr. Paul Brody for doing an unbelievable job. Dr. Paul Brody, excellent job. And so much support, what they do for Israel every year. Besides doing the parade, they also have the Jewish Reclamation Project. They do so much for us Jews. A big shkoyach to both of them. Ladies and gentlemen,
that was Chaim Kiss, who's been on the stage many times. Not this stage, on the summer stage, and now on this stage. You know, tennis players, they can play sometimes well on clay, sometimes on grass, but Chaim Kiss and all these performers, they sing great on stone, they play great on wood, they sing great on wood and stone. Let's hear it for Chaim Kiss. It gives us great pleasure now to present Rabbi David Al-Ghazi
for the land of Israel and its supporters, organizes this program and this concert, an Israel Day Parade, to demonstrate a very fundamental concept that sometimes has been forgotten. The land of Israel belongs to the Jewish people and to the people of Israel. We've tried peace negotiations. We tried accords in Oslo. We tried roadmaps and we tried solutions, but all we are getting is more problems and more problems. It is time for us to remember a beautiful concept. Sandy Shmueli in his song said it so beautifully, and let us remember, Ani Chozer Habayta. The Jewish people is not entering Israel, is returning home. Let us send from this place a message to the President of the United States, to the United Nations, to the European Union, to all the people of the world, that the Jewish people has come back to Israel, all of Israel, and it will not leave anymore. I want to thank you for being supporters not only of the land of Israel, but of its independence and security. We today are standing before an existential threat, the like of which we have not seen since the 1930s in Germany. And just like יימח שמו, the leader of the Nazi party, spoke and nobody believed that he would do it, today there are many people who don't believe that Iran is going to act. Israel must receive the support of the United States. It must receive the support of all good people of the world who care about peace in the world. But if Israel does not receive the support of others, it must know that Israel was created for it to defend the Jewish people, and to defend the Jewish people it must. Let us say once again, when we say Am Yisrael Chai, that Am Yisrael will live through all its threats because of the love that we have for Israel and the support of the land of Israel for all the Jewish people. Am Yisrael Chai.
Thank you, Rabbi David Al-Ghazi. I love his Forest Hills accent. It really makes the point. Yeah. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the leader of this orchestra, Shlomi Dax, who happens to lead the orchestra, and as you know, he started off as a singer in the Miami Boys Choir. He's been with us for many, many years.
Come on! Let's take that photo. You never know where Dr. Brody's going to roam around during the concert. All right, as you heard Dr. Brody say, today is an amazing day here in Central Park. We get to celebrate Israel, and we have a whole host of performers. I am proud to say that the orchestra and singer that has been chosen to accompany all of today's performers is one of the most well-known orchestras and performers out there in the world of Jewish music. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Here he is, Shlomi Dax!
How's everybody doing? Vayichan Sham Yisrael Beged Ha'or Lord Yukecha Vayichan Sham Yisrael Beged Ha'or Lord Yukecha Vayichan Sham Yisrael Beged Ha'or Lord Yukecha Sham Yisrael Beged נכון ויחן שם ישראל נגד איש אחד אוי בלב אחד כולם כולם אחד Come on everybody clap your hands let's go Ellie Joseph. Mr. Mike Spangler. איש אחד אוי בלב אחד ויחן שם ישראל נגד איש אחד אוי בלב אחד כולם כולם כאחד איש אחד אוי בלב אחד ויחן שם ישראל נגד איש אחד אוי בלב אחד כולם כולם כאחד It's great to be back here. I think it's 10 years that I've been so fortunate to be part of this amazing, amazing unity concert. No matter how many thousands of miles away our brothers and sisters live, 6,000 miles away, we are always thinking about them. They are in our minds. And we are so happy to have such a beautiful day today, celebrating a parade followed by this concert in honor of all Jews all over the world and especially in Israel. And if there's one person I can thank, without her, I wouldn't be here today. And that's, of course, my mother, who has joined me here today. Ma, how are you? You could wave. She's in the VIP section in the back. She's humble, doesn't want to really be seen. Thank you, Ma, for coming. And thank you all for coming. I see Dr. Meir Abitan, Craig Resmovitz. Thank you so much. Big hand for Avrami Ackerman leading today.
Parade. Concert. Thank you, Jerry. Jerry Markovitz, everybody.
Jerry Markowitz is the publisher and editor of the Jewish Connection. The brains behind all operation, his wife, Rochelle. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, this concert is about very serious things, even though we're all having a great time. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you somebody who's a great heroine of the Jewish people. Recently, in Great Neck, where I live with my wife and family, We were scheduled to have Pamela Geller, who's a great fighter against Islamists who want to make trouble for Israel. Only those who want to make trouble for Israel. And there are plenty of them. So when she puts up signs in the subways that calls to fight against the people who want to kill us, but to back Israel, and she gets criticized for being anti-Muslim, that is wrong. So in Great Neck, my friend Jeff Wiesenfeld, who's a CUNY trustee, and myself, among others, fought very hard after she was canceled at one of the Great Neck places of worship. The Chabad of Great Neck and Rabbi Yosef Gazinski stepped in, and we had Pamela Geller to a huge crowd. And now it gives me great pleasure to present to you Ms. Pamela Geller.
Thank you so much. Why don't you just
From the river to the sea, Israel will be free. No concessions for peace. No settlements for peace. Because there is no such thing. This is a delusion. This is a delusion that's being sold to the Jewish people. You cannot make peace with an enemy who is avowed to your destruction. And you cannot. And you can avoid reality, but you cannot avoid the consequences of avoiding reality. Oslo. I ask you, what did Oslo get you? You cannot divide Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the crown jewel to our enemies. And you must understand that the existence of Israel is deeply offensive to any devout Muslim in the world. It has nothing to do with land. This tiny country surrounded by enormous Muslim lands. It's not about land. You have to stop defending yourself against this blood libel. You have to be fierce. You have to be proud. That is our land. You have to stop. It is time to be unafraid. It is time to stand united. The Jews have no problem condemning me. They have no problem condemning me for running ads in the subway countering a blood libel. Not one, not two, but three anti-Israel ads. I ran one that said in any war between the civilized man and the savage, you side with the civilized man, you support Israel. And the world went berserk. Why didn't the world go berserk when the anti-Israel ads were running across the country? Why didn't the country go berserk when the Israel is an apartheid state ads ran in New York subways and New York Metro and San Francisco? Well, let me tell you something. I have a campaign going up now. I had to sue to get it up. You have to support these campaigns. You have to support rabbis like Rabbi Siegel, who speaks the truth. Truth is the new hate speech. We are a righteous and good people, and we must hold our head up high every time we kowtow, every time we submit. It means an annihilation. It means a Holocaust. I implore you. I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but I implore you to stand up and to speak the truth, because it is the mission of the Yehudim to speak the emes. Thank you.
Abba, water.
Dr. Frager, please jog on up here, Dr. Frager, so we can continue the program. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, smile, everybody. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever heard of a song entitled "Hang Up the Phone"? Have you ever heard of a song entitled "Hentelach"? Have you ever heard of a song entitled any one of tens and tens of great hits that our next performer has brought to the forefront of Jewish music? Do you know who I'm talking about, yes or no? Are you anxious to see this next performer do his stuff here at the Central Park Bandshell, yes or no? It is with great pleasure that we welcome to Central Park, New York, the one and only Lipa!
שלום. בעבור שכל הקהל מתפלל בעבורו. בזכות זה, הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא עליו רחמים, ירבה כוחו ויבטל צערו. אבינו שבשמיים, יהי רצון בניך שיעלו לפני כיסא רחמך תפילתנו ובקשתנו. ובזכות אבות תושיע בנים, וקוים בו הפסוק הוציא ממסגר נפשי להודות את שמך במהרה בימינו, אמן. Let's free Jonathan Pollard now. Free Jonathan Pollard now. Free Pollard now. We just want to make a few Kel Malei Rachamim.
I know that sounds like a cue to have him come in here, but there's a lot more to say about Ambassador Bolton. As you know, in the United Nations, they made the statement, the idiotic and, of course, absurd, outrageous statement, Zionism, or equating Zionism with racism. This man put that to rest. Ambassador John Bolton, probably the only one who I think has accomplished anything in the United Nations in the past, I'd say 64 years, because the last time anything was accomplished was the establishment of the State of Israel 65 years ago. And John Bolton is the only one since that time who's actually made a dent in the United Nations. And it wasn't only about the point that Zionism is not racism, he struck that from the record books, but he has stood up time and time again for the State of Israel at every crisis, at every need, at every turn. When Mahmoud Abbas went to the United Nations and proclaimed something sort of like a PLO state in September 2012, it was Ambassador John Bolton who opposed him. Okay? There weren't that many that opposed him, believe me. He was one. And now, to make it even more exciting, is that John Bolton has been a prophet when it comes to the State of Israel, of course, but also when it comes to the world and Iran. And if the world would only heed his message, we would be a lot safer today. John Bolton and I discussed this. Danny Danon is here, Deputy Defense Minister of the State of Israel. All it takes is maybe 4 bunker busters from the President of the United States. All he has to do is send 4 bunker busters to Israel. We're not asking for a lot, believe me. And the world would be a safer place tomorrow. It's with John Bolton's help, Danny Danon's help, of course God's help, and your help. Because you will speak to the President of the United States faster than me or anyone else. Because the President is listening to you because you're here and you're standing proud and standing tall. And don't forget that. That's a very important point. That's why the ambassador is here, and that's why the Deputy Defense Minister is here. And without further ado, Ambassador John Bolton.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here today and to stand with all of you to show that the American people across the board strongly support Israel. You know, I think in many parts of the world, they think that the American support for Israel is limited to the Jewish community in this country. And that is so clearly not the case that it's important to say it over and over again. Americans across the board, in overwhelming percentages, support Israel. They see it as one of America's closest allies. They see it as sharing our values and interests. They see it as part of the West, and they understand that Israel has a perfectly legitimate right to act in its own self-defense. And you know, if you look around the world today, the threats that we face, Israel and the United States together, are growing stronger. Some may say that the war on terrorism is almost over, but they are flatly wrong. The terrorists believe that the war is still on, and they're still acting like it. They've attacked our consulate in Benghazi on September the 11th, the anniversary of the first attack of September the 11th. They killed the president's personal representative to Libya and 3 of his brave colleagues. And in the 8 months since then, we have done nothing to avenge their deaths. The signal that sends to terrorists around the world is really frightening. And the terrorists come in all different forms these days. We saw one form in Benghazi. We saw another form in the bomb at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. We saw another form in the streets of London and Paris, where people are being hacked to death with meat cleavers. This terrorist threat is growing and metastasizing. We see around the Middle East that the Arab Spring has not turned out as many hoped, that radical Islamists and their terrorist allies are coming closer and closer to control of more governments that directly threaten Israel. We see Syria dissolving in chaos on Israel's northern border. And worst of all, Iran continues to make progress on its nuclear weapons program. You know, Iran has been trying to get nuclear weapons for 20 plus years, over 20 years. And the West as a whole, and the United States in particular, have failed to stop their continued progress. Iran's nuclear weapons are not Israel's problem. Iran's nuclear weapons are going to be the whole world's problem. And if we don't stop them from getting nuclear weapons, it'll be much more than just Iran. Former Secretary of State Clinton herself said if Iran gets nuclear weapons, Saudi Arabia will get nuclear weapons, Egypt will, Turkey will, and perhaps others. So that the threat of one more nuclear weapons state in the world will grow rapidly to perhaps another half dozen. The government of Pakistan collapses and radicals take control there, they will have access to Pakistan's existing arsenal of nuclear weapons, and that threat will be worldwide. Now, we have tried over the years everything we could think of to stop Iran's progress. We've tried diplomacy, we've tried sanctions, we've tried bluster, we've tried helping the opposition. None of it has worked. And the reason is that the Ayatollahs in charge in Tehran are determined to get nuclear weapons. Now, we have heard presidents of the United States say that all options are on the table. I have bad news. The Ayatollahs in Tehran don't believe that. They don't think the United States will use military force. And that's why the spotlight is on Israel. Not because it's just Israel's problem, but because Israel alone may have the willpower to act. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to be attacked by nuclear, chemical, or biological weapons. It is a legal and moral responsibility of any democratic government to protect its citizens from threats of violence. And if that means striking preemptively, that is a legitimate exercise of the right of self-defense. Israel has twice before struck nuclear weapons programs in the hands of hostile states, first against Saddam Hussein in 1981, and back then even the Reagan administration criticized Israel. Not until the first Persian Gulf War, when we saw how close Iran was to getting a nuclear weapons program, did we understand how valuable that first Israeli strike was. And then second, in September of 2007, destroying a nuclear reactor being constructed in Syria. Being constructed by whom? By North Koreans. North Koreans who never do anything for free. Who do you think was financing that nuclear reactor in Syria? Obviously it was Iran. And so we come to the point of vulnerability that we face today with Israel looking at the risk of a hostile state developing an existential threat. You know, that phrase gets used a lot. Let me tell you, nuclear weapons in the hands of the Ayatollahs is truly an existential threat. And as Ariel Sharon first said, brings with it the prospect of a nuclear holocaust. Now, I don't expect anything in the next 3.5 years from the United States, but I think Israel is facing a critical decision point. A critical decision point. And I think what the United States can and should do is support Israel now, support Israel with the necessary weapon systems, weapons, and finance so that they can make a decision that's clear-headed. We should support Israel during the attack by providing intelligence and other measures like that. And perhaps most importantly, if, underline the word if, Israel makes this very difficult decision, we should stand by Israel politically and militarily afterward. We should be making the case now that it is a legitimate exercise of self-defense to stop a hostile state from getting weapons of mass destruction. We should defend Israel in the United Nations and everywhere around the world. We should immediately resupply Israel for any losses that they sustain over Iran, and we should do whatever is necessary to suppress Hezbollah and Hamas and any other terrorist group or state that tries to retaliate against Israel. I don't know what decision Israel is going to make. It's a very, very difficult decision with Israel's entire civilian population at risk. But I will say this, the government of Israel should know that if they decide to act as they have acted twice before, that the overwhelming majority of the American people will stand with Israel whatever it takes. Thank you very much.